Today, we are diving into a really powerful and honestly pretty short story from the one and only Leo Tolstoy. It's called The Three Questions. And while it might seem like a simple little parable, it's packed with this incredible secret for living a life that actually feels meaningful. Just think about that for a second. I mean, what if you had this kind of superpower, the ability to always know the perfect thing to do with exactly the right person at the exact right time? You'd be unstoppable, right? Well, that desire, that obsession, is the engine that drives this whole story. All right, so let's meet our main character. He's a king, and this king is completely consumed by one single idea. He wants to find a foolproof way to never, ever fail. He thinks success isn't about luck. It's about knowing the answers to some very specific questions. He was absolutely convinced that if he could just get the answers, he'd be invincible. It would be like having the ultimate life hack, a cheat code for perfect judgment in every single situation. And he was willing to pay a fortune to get it. And here they are, the three big questions: the perfect time, the most important people, and the number one most important thing to do. Now, they look pretty straightforward, don't they? But as our king is about to find out, getting the answers, well, that's a whole other story. So what do you do when you're a king and you need answers? You go to the experts, right? He called in all the smartest people in his kingdom, his advisors, priests, doctors, you name it. He was totally expecting them to just hand him the wisdom he was looking for on a silver platter. But what he got back was, well, it was a total mess, just pure chaos. For the right time, some said you need a strict schedule. Others said, no way, it's impossible to know, just be ready for anything. For the right people, he got everything from counselors to warriors. It was just a dizzying, contradictory pile of advice. No one could agree on anything. And this is a really crucial moment. The king realizes all this expert advice, all this intellectual firepower has gotten him absolutely nowhere except more confused. He needs a totally different kind of wisdom, not from a book, but from someone who lives simply. So he decides to find a humble hermit. So now we're headed to the hermit's hut in the woods, and this is where everything changes, because the king is about to learn that the answers he's looking for aren't going to be spoken to him, he's going to have to live them. So the king shows up in regular clothes, trying to be incognito, and he finds this old, frail hermit just digging away. He asks his three big questions, and nothing. The hermit just keeps digging. But then the king does something interesting. He feels pity for the old man, and instead of acting like a king demanding answers, he acts like a human being and offers to help. That right there, that's the first big clue. And he doesn't just help for a minute. The king works for hours, getting blisters on his royal hands, and his questions just keep hanging in the air, unanswered. Right when he's about to give up, a man comes stumbling out of the woods, bleeding everywhere. And just like that, the king's big philosophical quest is totally forgotten. All that matters is helping this person, right here, right now. The next morning comes the big twist. The guy the king saved, he wasn't just some random stranger. He was the king's sworn enemy, an assassin who came there to kill him. But because the king stayed late to help the hermit, he wasn't where the assassin expected him to be. So in this crazy turn of events, the king's simple act of kindness not only saved a man's life, it saved his own life and turned his worst enemy into a loyal friend. Okay, so the king has just survived an assassination attempt he didn't even know about and made peace with his enemy. He goes to the hermit one last time, still hoping for a straightforward answer, totally unaware that he's already found them. So when the hermit finally says, "You have already been answered," you can just imagine the king's confusion. He's thinking, what are you talking about? I came here for a formula, and all I got was a sore back and a brush with death. How have I been answered? And this is the moment it all clicks into place. The hermit is forcing the king to stop looking outside for some secret set of rules and start looking at what he himself just did. The hermit basically just replays the tape of the last 24 hours. He's not giving him a philosophy lesson, he's just connecting the dots, showing the king how every single one of his questions was answered by his own spontaneous actions. Okay, so let's break this down. Answer number one, what's the most important time? It wasn't some date he could have circled on a calendar. It was the moment he was digging, which, by the way, saved his life. And it was the moment he was bandaging the wound. In other words, the most important time is always, always right now. And who's the most important person? Not some general or advisor he could plan to meet. It was the hermit, because that's who the king was with. And then it was the wounded man, because he was the person right in front of him who needed help. The most important person is always the one you are with in this present moment. And that brings us to the final beautiful answer. What's the most important thing to do? It's not some grand military strategy or economic plan. It is simply to do good for the person right in front of you. That's it, to help, to show up for them. That is always your most important business. And this is where we get to the real heart of it all. These answers aren't just for some king in a story. This is Tolstoy handing us a blueprint for how any of us can live a life that really, truly matters. And this is the mic drop moment. The only time that matters is now. Why? Because it's the only time we have any power. The past is gone. You can't change it. The future isn't here yet. The only place you can act, the only place you can make a difference is right here in this present moment. So that's the takeaway. The story strips away all of life's crazy complexities and leaves us with this incredibly simple, powerful guide. The most important time is now. The most important person is the one right in front of you. So the only question left to ask is, what good will you do?